Okay, so at this time we need to focus on the understanding how shape and form work. Now, when we're talking about shape and form, we're talking about breaking up the traditional shapes of an object in order to have individual pieces that we're focusing on versus the entire object as a whole. So what you're looking at here is a portrait of Rudolph II. Um, in this particular case, he wanted to be portrayed as a god of the harvest. This was something that was intended to make him look impressive, to impress people. So he wanted to be looked at as one of these gods. Now, the god of the harvest that he was looking at specifically is someone that was made mostly of fruits and vegetables in concept. Now, this particular one is one of my personal favorites because, as you can see, he is made entirely of fruits, vegetables, and grains. And each little bit of his face is a different type of fruit or vegetable or grain. And these things are very important for breaking up the idea of what you're looking for. So as you can see right here, his nose is a pear, his hair has cherries, there's grains in here, there's grains for his beard, there's little fruits for his lips, there's a pumpkin right here for his chest. So for our current assignment, we need to focus on trying to create a self-portrait using various objects. Now, there are 3 different ways to do it. I already discussed one way with you. The first way would be obviously to take a bunch of random objects, just put them together to make an object, to make your portrait out of objects that you have at your home. Just take a picture of it and submit the photograph. The second option is to go ahead and draw it. So right here we have another example of a drawing. With this, the self-portrait right here that is made of musical instruments, etc., etc. Please ignore that sound. I apologize. That was my phone. Um, Now, what you can see right here is that he's made of various objects. He's got his feet are there's a sandwich over here and a little car. He's got pencils. Now, what you choose to use, what you choose to represent yourself isn't going to be the exact same things. Maybe you do want to be vegetables. Maybe you do want to be a bunch of musical instruments. What you choose is up to you. Now, some of you are a little bit worse for wear when it comes to trying to actually draw things out. So one of the options available is to use the photo editing program. Now, what I would like for you to use is the program right here called Photopea. Now, Photopea is very similar to the GIMP program. So if you have the GIMP program, you're going to be looking for the same basic principles in terms of using that program. If you have another program like Photoshop or something like that, feel free to use it. Now, this introduction is just an introduction to using the materials. It may not have all of the specific answers, so if you get confused or you really need help, please remember that you can stop in and ask questions during my weekly office hours, and I'm more than happy to help you answer questions or show you specifically how to do a specific technique that you need. The second thing that you're going to need if you want to do it digitally, so you're going to need the Photopea program, and you're going to need the paint program. As you can see, I have a couple options right here that I've already pasted in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you a very basic version of a self-portrait that you can do and how this can work. So for example, I wanted to go ahead and create my head. So what I did was I chose to use this piece of pottery. Now the reason you see this right here is because I chose the piece of pottery and from finding it on Google. This one specifically is Puebloan because it's very special to my background where I come from. So I specifically typed into Google Pueblo pottery. Now I chose a specific pot. Now when you're choosing your images, you need to choose very carefully. As you can see, some of these have gray in the background. If it has a lot of gray or something that's very similar to the object itself, it is not going to work for your project. You need to make sure that the background is one solid color, no shading if you can avoid it. because right now you are just barely starting. So unless you want to actually sit here and have to erase each and everything using the erasement tool, you are going to I highly recommend using a piece of pottery and selecting an image that has an entirely solid background. So in this case, I chose this particular piece of pottery right here. I took this, I copied it, and I tried to paste it. Now what I discovered, first thing you're going to need to do once you start a new project, so you're going to, if you want to start new, you're going to want to click new. And I usually go to inches and type 8.5 by 11. The reason I choose this is because that is the very basic shape and design of a piece of paper, just a regular piece of paper. You can also click the word print, and if you click the word print, it's going to give you some very generic size. So this one would be the letter size right here. You click create, and it's going to make a new project for you. Now, unfortunately, I thought I needed that. Unfortunately, one of the issues, the first thing you're going to do, this background layer is going to be locked. So you want to make sure to add a new layer, and that way you're working on a new layer. Now, when I tried to do that, I tried to go ahead and go in here and paste the new image. Now, in this case, this time it actually decided to paste the size that I wanted it to be. Now, you're going to use this little arrow, select the object, and place it in the center. Now, you can go ahead, and there's a little button when you select an object. Okay, there's a little button. You're going to see this little word transform tool. So if you don't see it when you click an object, if you don't see those little squares, you need to make sure to click the transform tool, because that's going to allow you to change the size and general shape of your object. Now, this button right here, this one is the move tool. This is what's going to allow you to move your object and to place it where you want it to be. The next thing I went ahead and chose, a rope and some brush strokes to go ahead and create the idea of my hair, which all my students know that I have a lot of hair. I usually wear it in one braid going down the side. Therefore, I want to make sure to kind of incorporate that just a little bit into the actual art piece. Now, if you'll just give me just 1 second, I'm going to switch over to one that's a little bit further along. Okay, so what I did here was I took some very basic brush strokes and I copied it over to the paint program right here, deleted the background, and literally it was just copying, just copy, and go to a new layer, and then pasting. Now, when I did this, as you can see, I had a little black square that was around it. As I mentioned before, as long as the background is a contrasting color, it doesn't cause any major issues. What you're going to want to do if you're having that problem, you're going to want to go to color range, and it's going to show this. What this means is it's going to select the outside area. Click OK. Notice how it selected that outside area. You can go ahead and click delete or backspace. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you this object. Go ahead and unclick off the object right there. And you can click it again, and this allows you to move it and adjust it however you see fit. So this allowed me to create this sort of little, slightly like a hair texture. Now notice the one that I have over here is a different shape. What I did is I went to the filter, distort, and swirl. Now by doing that, what's going to happen is it's going to cause the actual hair to swirl itself. And it's going to change the shape just a little bit. The angle that you create, where you start the swirl, is going to change the way that the final product looks. So play around with it, adjust the angles. So as you can see right here, it's making this top area much fatter and bringing it over. Now, if I were to rotate it just a little bit and then go in again, it's going to distort in a different way entirely. So I'm going to click swirl, and if you can watch it this time, it's going to change the direction and the location where it's swirling. So this is an easy way for you to go ahead and change the shape of an object the way that you want it, so that it fits the spots exactly the way that you want it to fit. The next option that I want you to know about is the option of changing the colors around. Now, obviously, my hair is not blue. Therefore, I want to go ahead and change those colors. So after I right-clicked on all the different layers and I clicked merge down, it connected all the layers together. So I'm going to go ahead and click undo just once so you guys can see what I did. I right-clicked on the layer, went to merge down, and it merged the two layers together. So at this point, you can go ahead and go to image, and all you have to do is go to adjustments, and then you're going to want to adjust the hue and saturation or the color balance, as that's going to allow you to change the colors. Watch these colors right now. It's going to allow you to change the color specifically to the color that you're wanting. So the saturation is how bright or dark a color is. The lightness is how light, so how much white is in the color, how much black is in the color, and this one changes the overall tonal color, so the hue. We've covered hue before, so mine is a little bit closer to a red. It has a lot of darks into it, and then you get closer to the color that you want. Now, you can adjust all the colors. Once you click OK, you can adjust the different colors on the various layers so that they match each other. You're going to have to adjust each layer individually as you need it. And at this point, you're going to go ahead, you're going to go ahead and adjust the colors for that layer individually. So the main hair, I changed over from blue, so I'm not going to do the same adjustment for this layer, because the same adjustment for this layer wouldn't work, because this layer specifically is a much lighter color. So I'm going to include a little bit less whites, dark. And as you can see, it's very light. So what I'm going to want to do is I want to make it a darker color. So I'm going to adjust it. Adjustment. In this case, I want to adjust the vibrance. I want to make it a little bit more vibrant and saturated. Before I go changing the colors. So now when I go changing the hue and saturation, it's going to be a little bit easier to reach that dark color that I wanted. It's not quite right, but we can continue fiddling with, you can continue fiddling with the colors as you see fit. Now, I'm going to go ahead and leave that there for the moment. There's no reason for you to sit here watching me fiddle with all the different layers. As you fill up your image, make sure that you cover the entire space. You do not have to necessarily add eyes if you don't want to. It's something that you can do, but you don't have to. We want to make sure that your portrait is made out of objects. Make sure you fill the page. Make sure you use an object or something for the background as well. Okay. So let's say, for the sake of argument, you feel like you're done with the actual making of the portrait. You feel it. You can see that it's a person. You definitely added things that are individual to you. Now, obviously, it could be a lot nicer. It could be a lot fuller, but I'm not going to be spending the rest of eternity on this particular image. So this is just an example. You can take it a lot further than this. This is just an example of where I want you to go. It definitely has the eyes, a mouth, hair, shoulders, and it obviously has a lot of individual objects that are a little bit more personal to the person. So this is about where I expect you to be by the end of the week. Once you have finished this is what you're going to be wanting to do. You want to go ahead, go up to where it says where's it at? Go ahead and select all of these, you're going to go ahead over to the left hand side. Let me move this out the way. Okay, you're going to go ahead and merge. You can either merge down or you can flatten the image. Flattening the image, you'll see it. Oh, I apologize. You're going to go ahead and see these on one of these lists right here. You're going to see the term flatten image. It's not 100% necessary for you to flatten it before you send it out, but it is helpful for you to be able to see the final view ahead of time. Now, I'm not going to really bother with that right now, but it is something that you can consider if you want to see the final version first. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to export this image. Okay, you're going to go to export, you're going to go to JPEG, going to click that, make sure you set it to 100% because that's where we want you to be. Okay, make sure that the size is 100% to the size, and then you're going to click save. It is going to save onto your computer, just as you see right here, and then you're going to go to Google Classroom and upload the actual image onto there. So I'm going to go ahead and click this so you can see the version on this computer. As you can see, it uploaded it onto the computer itself, and you can upload the file through Google Classroom. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at any point.